These people hate the fact that you treat yourself as sacred. You are not willing to get down in the trenches with them. See, you refuse to allow anyone to have access into your life who would cause you to have to be rough and tough. I know that might sound funny, but a woman who is divinely feminine, operating in her feminine soft strength, she refuses to be in places and spaces where people will cause her to come out of her feminine character. I understand that we live in the world and there are different challenges. You might come against different obstacles where people are going to try your patience, they're going to try your womanhood, they're going to test you. But as women operating in our soft strength, it is important that we try our best to not place ourselves in situations or give people access into our lives who will challenge our femininity, our feminine softness, and the way we conduct ourselves as soft strength women. You see, for some reason, when a woman decides to treat herself as sacred, when she decides to lean into that feminine, softer side of herself, when she decides to operate in that soft strength, she is automatically going to be tested. You see, when you start leaning into your femininity, when you start working on your personal development, when you start working on leveling up as a divine, focused, feminine woman, you are automatically going to be challenged. You know, if you are trying to lean into that side that says, you know what, I don't want to cuss like a sailor anymore. I don't want to cuss. I don't want to have physical altercations. I don't want to be in that rah-rah energy anymore. I want to lean into my soft strength. I want to have a more calm and peaceful presence. Best believe that you are going to be tested. You are going to have people who try to come in contact with you that are going to try to get you out of character. And when I say character, I don't mean character like you're an actor, because femininity and your divine feminine strength as a woman, that is the core nature of who you are as a woman. Just many women choose to neglect that side of themselves and opt for a more masculine side. But when you deliberately decide to treat yourself as sacred, to lean into that soft feminine essence as a woman, you are going to be challenged by people who want to see you rough. They want to see you angry. They want to see you tough. They want to see you cussing people out. They want to see you doing all the things that are the opposite of what a divine, feminine, soft strength woman would do. And trust me, I understand this all too well, because I myself in the past have dealt with people and been in places and situations and allowed people to access my life who did nothing but take me out of my femininity. And don't get me wrong, I am not absolving us of our own responsibility, because as feminine, soft strength women, as you grow in maturity and wisdom, you realize that you have control, a lot more control over the situation than you really understand. But peer pressure and your surroundings and your environment, like anyone in the sociology field will tell you, can definitely have an impact on how you act depending on your environment. And I can say for a time that I was a product of my environment. Sometimes as women, when we are not used to being in our feminine nature, in our soft strength, we allow our environments to harden us. But as you get older, as you mature, as you become more focused on being that soft strength, resilient, feminine woman, you soon realize that, number one, you don't necessarily have to be a product of your environment. You can change that. And then number two, you get hyper focused on curating a lifestyle and relationships where you're not going to constantly be in contact with people who will challenge your femininity. So these people hate the fact that you are leaning into your feminine nature. They don't like the fact that you treat yourself as sacred. They want you to act rough and tough and overly aggressive and not assertive. They want to see those hard parts of you come out, because many people get amused by it. You see, I know for me, just my own, my own epiphany, I used to struggle with cursing because cursing was a second language in my household. And I talked about this earlier on my other channel, All Things Woman, where I told you all that cursing and foul language was a second language, if not the first language in my household. So cursing and all of that came natural for me. As I got older and I began to hear other people cursing, especially women, it really started to rub me the wrong way. I started to feel very cringy every time I heard it. And this video is not exclusively about cursing. It's just about the difference and how suddenly when you decide to lean into your feminine softness, when you choose to be something different than what you're used to, how you're going to be tempted to be that thing. But I started hearing this a lot more, and hearing it come out of other people's mouths, it started to give me the cringes. So I got more particular and careful about the things that was coming out of my mouth. Did I still slip up from time to time? Absolutely. But I got more deliberate on making sure that I'm not always deliberately saying these foul words, because I knew it put me in a hard, kind of rough way of being. And this can be for anything. More than that, the people you choose to be around, and this is where not giving people access to you who do not appreciate your feminine nature, people who will provoke you to be in rough and abrasive situations are not people you want to deal with. You see, there are certain people, they value women more when they are overly masculine. And I say overly because there are times as women when we do have to get things done, doing and execution and all of that, that is a form of being in the masculine. You are getting things done. But how are you doing it? But people who value and rather you be overly masculine, these are often your people who will provoke you and cause you to be very rough and very harsh and very hard. And ladies, I hate to say this, sometimes men get a kick out of seeing women not treat themselves as feminine, not treat themselves as sacred and softer and operate in soft strength. If you are dealing with men in your life who will push you to be like a bulldog, and I know that sounds crazy, but I have witnessed this with my own eyes, where some men like to pit other women against one another, and that is a very masculine way to be, and many women allow that. They allow the men in their lives, and I have to say this, men who would force a woman to be overly masculine are often feminine men. And this can be a deeper dive. I will get into this in more videos. But when you start leaning into your soft strength as a woman, you don't want to be surrounded by feminine men. You can't afford to be around men who will cause you to be just as hard, if not harder than them. And you might be thinking, how does this happen? When a man does not take on his responsibility as he's supposed to, he's automatically going to push you into the masculine. When a man wants you to fight his battles, he's automatically pushing you into the masculine. When a man does not respect the fact that your body does not function like his does, and you might need to lay it down a few days out of the month, he doesn't respect your femininity. And I know that this is not a topic that is talked about a lot, but if more women knew this, they would be more selective on the people they're choosing to spend their life with. But I digress. These people hate the fact that you are choosing to lean into your feminine, softer side as a woman. They like to see you all rough and tough and riled up. As a woman, it is important that even with your friendships, you do not want to give people access to you or be friends with people who will cause you to always be in battle mode. There is nothing worse for a woman who is leaning into her femininity, trying to be in that softer, gentle side of hers. She has no problem confronting challenges when they come, but you're not looking for them. You are not afraid of conflict, but you're not looking for it. Being in friendships with women who are always the aggressor in situations, who are always causing problems, causing drama, anytime you go out with them, you're liable to get into an argument, a physical altercation, or some kind of issue. Being on high alert like that sends your body into that fight or flight mode. It sends your body into that I gotta be on the defense mode. I made a joke on my other channel about how in my head I have sneakers on. And that was pertaining to a specific situation, but when it comes to being a divine feminine woman, you don't want to have to live with the thought that I have to always be in battle mode. Not in the spirit, not in the natural. And the spiritual, the way I believe is that we fight spiritually. And because I know for me and how I believe I fight spiritually, I can be more rested. Even if I am challenged in different ways in the natural world, because I refuse to step outside of my divine feminine nature as I believe God created me to be, I am not going to allow people to constantly pull me out of my comfort zone of being in that soft feminine strength and allowing God to fight my battles. So while what I said over there, in the moment, depending on the situation, yeah, as divine feminine women operating in our soft strength, and especially if you are a mature woman, when you are ready to battle and you do what you have to do, but that is not an energy that you constantly live in. And as I was saying, being friends with women who are always in battle mode, they always have their sneakers on, rain, sleet, or shine. And what I mean by that is that they're always ready to go to blows with people. That is not the way we are supposed to be as divine feminine women. So you don't want to have close connection to people who are always going to cause you to have to fight your entire life. You don't want to deal with people who always bring to you these heavy challenges and obstacles and drama and fights and issues, and you always have to be on high alert. That can cause your nervous system, and trust me, I understand what I'm saying because I lived it. Being in that kind of mode where you feel like you have to always battle, that will take you out of your femininity quicker than anything else will. Also, being a woman who lives in an environment, and I know this is a little touchy because many people might not be in a position to get out of their environments, but when you get tired enough of something, you will make a way. And I believe that, and how I believe God will make a way. But being in a certain environment can also harden you as you try to lean into that feminine energy. And I know this from experience as well. Even though I knew deep down inside that the way I was carrying myself as a woman was not truly how I was supposed to be as a woman, but my circumstances and my environment would not allow me to rest. I had no choice but to constantly be loud and constantly argue and constantly have to tussle with people whom I did not want to deal with. Not until I got older and got more wisdom from God under my belt did I realize that I don't have to deal with this. I don't want to be this way. Some people didn't understand it. They were trying to figure out, why are you leaving the state every weekend? Why are you not hanging around here? Because I wanted something different. I wanted to surround myself with people who appreciated the fact that I am a woman. That not only am I a woman, that I am not to operate in the same way that they were. And these people were predominantly men that I was around, but I was around some rough, hard, crazy acting women, and they just sat in that kind of character, which is fine for them. But I knew for me, that's not something that I wanted. So I separated myself. And as I began to do that, I started to see the shift in my personality, in my character, in my speech, and the way I operated and the way I lived my life. Things just started to come through. By no means am I saying that I am perfect. I have arrived. Absolutely not. However, what I am saying is that those subtle shifts of getting away from environments that will cause you to lose your femininity, to harden you, to make you treat yourself as if you are some kind of rough object to be dealt with. When you start realizing as a woman that that is not the way you choose to operate, you will soon get away from those people, places, and things that challenge you to be harder as a woman. So these people hate the fact that you are leaning into your feminine, softer side. They want to see you hard and rough and tough. They actually prefer it that way. As divine feminine women, operating in our divine feminine energy, our femininity, our soft strength as women, it is important to be around people and to try to curate a life that does not challenge you to be hard, that does not challenge you to neglect your femininity and trade it out for a life of hardness and struggle and strife and carrying loads that are not meant for you. Am I saying that being feminine means you have no responsibilities, you don't work, you don't do anything? Absolutely not. Some of the most feminine, soft-spoken, classy, divine feminine women are very wealthy, very spiritually grounded. They are wives, they are mothers, they are employees, they are employers. It's all in how you do the things that you do. A part of being a divine feminine woman is understanding that you don't have to look like everybody else in order to be and live in the way you want to be and live. You don't have to go the hard way just because society says women must be hard. This is Soft Strength Society, where we overcome, elevate, and evolve as women. If any of that interests you, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. And make sure you have your notification bells turned on so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If any of this interests you, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Don't just watch casually. Subscribe to the channel and share this content with other women. Take care.